Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MOOBment. The episode that you're about to hear is somewhat personal to me. My special guest today is my own mother-in-law, who I actually refer to, as you'll hear, as my mother-in-law. I am going to leave in the personal aspects of our conversation, and I hope you'll indulge me and stay with us. My mother-in-law is not only a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, but also a former teacher and principal, and has a lot to offer us MOOBs in regard to information and her take through the generations on raising boys. And I'm going to leave the personal moments in for our conversation for you to hear, mostly because I was thinking about it and I wanted to do as I do and encourage our listeners to do the same thing with their parents, their in-laws, and maybe not on a podcast, doesn't even have to be on tape, but have those conversations, those personal conversations about parenting, about life as our elder generation sees things. One of my favorite moves out there is somebody who we all are familiar with, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she hosts a podcast called Wiser Than Me. And I agree with her in that our elders, those who are older than us and wiser than us possibly, deserve to be heard. So I hope you enjoy the episode today, and here we go.
Oh boy, here we go, raising sons and watching them grow. Every story, every win, we're in this life through thick and thin. From first steps to letting go, we're cheering loud, we are front row. Welcome to the movement, come along, where all boy moms belong.
Hello and welcome to the MOOBment. I am Laurie Ann, your host and the creator of the MOOBment, and I am going to introduce a very special guest, possibly the most special guest we've had on the show yet, somebody very personal to me who has actually requested an appearance on the podcast, and I am so happy to have her here today. I want to introduce you to Dorothy Steinmetz. Dorothy Steinmetz is my mother-in-law and my husband's mother, and she is also the matriarch of our family. And she is here today to talk to us a little bit about being a mother-in-law. Although she is not a MOOB, she has a son and a daughter, so she is not a mother of only boys. She does, however, have a son, and for the purpose of today, we'll be talking about her son, my husband, and I think maybe we'll leave his sister, her daughter, out of it for now, since this is the MOOBment, and that will probably make her happy. So let me introduce formally Dorothy Steinmetz. Welcome to the MOOBment.
Thank you so much. I am so excited. When I volunteered to be on this, I didn't realize I would be so nervous. But I am great. I am happy to be part of MOOB. I'm happy to have 3 grandsons, in addition to, if I may, give them 2 granddaughters. I also have 2 great-grandsons. So boys are very familiar to me.
Absolutely. You have a lot to be proud about.
Proud and grateful.
Absolutely. You are very, very grateful, and you tell us that every day, and you've taught me that, to be grateful for all the wonderful things in our lives.
Yes. And for being a mother-in-law, I have to say I am blessed, Laurie, not because I'm talking in front of an audience about you, but I am blessed. People in my community don't always like me because when we talk about our daughters-in-law,
And do you talk about your
Oh,
daughters-in-law?
yes, we do indeed.
Little gossip, little Florida gossip.
I am frequently the exception, and that's a tribute to you, my love.
Well, I thank you. And I must tell our listeners here that my mother-in-law, and you tell me, maybe this is due to the fact that the connotation of mother-in-law, daughter-in-law is not always a positive one. She does not even refer to me as her daughter-in-law, but her daughter-in-love, and thereby she being my mother-in-law. So maybe we can dispel a little bit of the negative connotations and tell the world out there that there are situations where mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law love each other, get along.
Laurie, it does not happen immediately, nor did it happen immediately with us. Love has to grow. Your son, your husband, my son, fell in love with you. That did not mean that I was going to fall in love with you. It takes time getting to know and understand each other.
Well, it's an interesting thing. You know, one of the things I think about is that everybody raises their children somewhat differently, and my husband grew up in a similar situation as I, in that we have a lot of similarities, a lot of things in common, but we grew up a little differently as well. And so when you marry somebody, you adjust to that, and you're marrying not only the person you marry, but you're marrying their family.
Absolutely.
And so that's an adjustment as well.
Absolutely.
So on that note, let me ask you then, as a young boy, my husband, I know he was referred to as Naughty David sometimes.
He wasn't really naughty.
He was a good boy, at least in hindsight.
Very
right?
good boy.
Was there anything particularly that worried you when he was young or in general about his growing up?
No. He was always a good boy. He was sincere. He was lovable. He was warm. And there was he didn't eat very well. He was a very picky eater.
Well, that's changed.
That has indeed. That's because of you. I mean, he constantly makes fun of me to this day because I was not a cook.
And
I worked full time.
One of the differences
I
between
worked
us.
full time, and I didn't cook very well. But I heated up. I bought a lot.
He talks about those Swanson's dinners all the time that he enjoyed and didn't really complain about.
It was TV dinners.
Again, he and I grew up a little differently because I grew up with a mom who did a lot of cooking and was home full time.
Your mom was great.
Absolutely. So.
I will just tell you one story about my son, your husband, that you may not know. I had just been appointed to my position of principal in my school district. And I was so excited. Came home, I was all dressed up. And I came home to a note on my kitchen table. Mom, could you please deliver my papers? He delivered the penny saver or whatever it was once a week. So here I am in my high heels, all dressed up, going through the development, throwing newspapers.
Because that's what you do as a mom.
Absolutely.
And you might be a big shot principal at work, but when you come home, you're just still mom.
A mommy, absolutely.
And I have heard that story, and I do know he appreciates it greatly.
Did he tell you that?
Yes, he did tell me that.
Thank you, David.
Do you recall like what your proudest moment might be for, in raising your son?
Yes, I do. I was sitting at his law school graduation.
Mm-hmm. I was there.
You were indeed. And award after award was being disseminated. And I sat, listening, clapping for the recipients. And then the last award, which was obviously, there was a crescendo building up to this last award, and it was to David Steinmetz. Well, this mother jumped up screaming, "That's my son! I'm so proud. Hooray for David." Yes,
That was a proud moment. I was there as well, and it was a proud moment. And when we have children, we have boys, we have girls, there are so many proud moments.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we take pride in that ourselves as well. I mean, we're proud of them, we're proud for them, and somehow we were somewhat responsible for getting them to where they need to be. So,
And you did.
so you mentioned to our listeners, which I was about to bring up anyway, that you were a principal.
Yes.
Before that, you were a teacher.
Yes.
And so we are here on the MOOBment, where a lot of our listeners are mothers of boys, and they have young sons of all ages. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you as a principal and as a teacher today, as well as a mom and a grandma, who we call Bubby, as your grandma name, about boys versus girls and boys in general, as far as the differences. Did you see, whether it be in school as a teacher and a principal, or even at home between your son and daughter, differences in how they learn, differences in how they're raised and how they're treated? I know it's a generality, but
You're asking
let's have
me
the conversation.
a real education question. Everybody learns uniquely, be it a boy or a girl. So they did learn differently because they're two different children, my son and my daughter. But boys are a little more rambunctious generally. Girls, they have their little tea parties with their little teacups and such, and they play with their dolls. But it's okay if boys play with dolls, and it's okay if girls play with trucks. So it's not good to really differentiate.
How has that changed from when you started out as a teacher and a principal to now, as far as the gender roles?
Hasn't.
It hasn't changed.
Has not. I have 7 great-grandchildren. Oh, I beam.
There's a little pride.
Yeah. And no, hasn't changed.
Okay.
I see.
More accepting of boys playing with dolls and girls playing with trucks?
Oh, yes. I think society in general.
Culture.
Absolutely, there is a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like you to ask me, because I'd like to share the birth of my 3 boys.
I will in a moment. Let me just go back to the principal.
Okay.
As far as children being sent to the principal's office, did you find that were more often boys versus girls, or equally you found kids that got into mischief and trouble?
Equal.
Interesting.
Girls did things that necessitated not punishment. I don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. I do believe in their understanding what they did wrong and why it was wrong. This is going to become an education seminar, because I loved my profession.
Right. And I think people are interested in, mothers, they know what they have in their household and what they're dealing with. We know what we read. But in real life, we're curious as to the generalities. And, I read and I talk to professionals who will say that boys tend not to communicate as well as girls. They're not necessarily spoken to the same way girls are, and they're not necessarily taught to communicate the same way.
Depends.
And I do wonder, generally in schools, is that an issue? Do you find that the girls are able to communicate and the boys generally are more physical? Or it really
Depends upon the child. Absolutely. There are girls who are very reticent, and there are boys who are very talkative.
And how much do the parents and parenting factor into that?
Oh, quite a bit. Parents are the children's first teachers. They come in with a basis of knowledge, a basis of how they learn. Absolutely.
Right.
Parents are critical.
So
Critical.
It's important, and the influence that we have as parents. And we had a guest on the show, Molly DeFrank, and she talked a lot about intentional parenting in her book. I'll
What
tell
does
you
that
about the book.
mean?
It means what we do as parents should be intentional. We should think about why we're doing things and what we want to get out of that. So, for example, if our child is having a meltdown and needs discipline of some type, how will we handle it? What do we want to happen? Do we want to diffuse the situation? Do we want to remove the child from the situation? In her case, she recommended, if it was a young child, calming down, getting down at his level, meeting him eye to eye to diffuse the situation before you went on to explain why the behavior should be changed. Things like that.
Yes.
Intentional parenting.
I
Important.
never heard that terminology, but that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you have to do, and you have to know your child.
Right.
And you don't want to destroy the child. You don't want to put the child down. So what that person described and explained and suggested was excellent.
Right. So we are our children's cheerleaders. We are
You're the
their
first teachers, and you're partners with the school. Partners with the teachers, partners with the principal. You're partners. You're an intrinsic, exceptional part.
I think that's important for our listeners to hear.
Absolutely.
And whether you're working full-time, part-time, whatever it is, it's a question of just finding that quality time to
Absolutely.
join in with the teachers and the school and be a team and work together.
I would hope, Laurie, I've never really asked my children, did they feel, I hope they didn't feel neglected, because I did work full-time.
Yeah, I never heard them communicate that they were neglected. I think that you can work full time, and if you feel happy and fulfilled,
Absolutely.
then that translates to your child. And I say all the time that I believe in a do as I do, not necessarily do as I say. And children emulate their parents, and that gives probably the unspoken message to your child to have a work ethic and have a
absolutely.
purpose. And
they do. Both of them
right.
have an excellent work ethic.
I think there's a reason for that.
I hope so.
So I think
hope
that's the case. And I think those who choose to be home with their children, that's wonderful too. If that makes them feel happy and fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Happy mama, happy family.
And you've always been busy.
Right.
Whether you had a job or not, you had your own self-imposed jobs.
Right. It's not until now, when you get to that empty nester stage, that you have to then refigure again exactly what you're doing with your life.
You
But
always have something.
everybody figures it out. You do figure it out. Okay, so we are going to go back to the personal, because I know you are dying to tell everybody
Yes.
all about your family. So let's start at the top.
The first
Dorothy
son.
Bubby is a you're a mother. You are a mother in love. You are a grandmother. You are a great-grandmother.
Yes.
So you do have a lot to be grateful for and proud of.
Extremely blessed.
And we, on the other end of that, have a lot to be grateful and proud of you. So go ahead. Tell us about
my
your
two
grandchildren.
children are happily married to wonderful spouses. Finished with them.
You did your job.
Finished with them. You know the old saying, if I knew how great the grandchildren were, I'd skip the children. All right,
So wait, let's back up a minute before we get to the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. What did it feel like? You had your two children. There were no spouses involved. Along came the spouses. What did it feel like? Let's just leave it to talk about your son. Make believe it's not me we're talking about. Or maybe it's okay that it is. What did it feel like having to let go a little bit? What did it feel like about having somebody else become the center of his life? And I can ask that because, again, I've lived it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because my children are married
It's
as well.
very different. It was very different for me. Remember, I'm 2 generations.
That's why I'm
removed.
asking the question.
Very different. In my day, and all the people around my age are going to know, you did not live with your spouse prior to marriage. Today, in your day, you moved in with my son.
How did that make you feel?
That's how it made me feel. What are you doing living with my son? Yes, it's an adjustment. It was an adjustment. And I think it was wonderful. In retrospect, I think it was a wonderful change in the culture, change in what people did. So that was that. Is it different with my son and my daughter? No. It was the same, and it was around the same time.
Definitely. So it was around the same time, and that you went from being a full-time, I mean, you're always the parent, the mother,
Right.
but a full-time parent with, them being your primary responsibility, to really kind of handing them off.
Within a
Was
year.
was it wonderful that you felt there was somebody else? I mean, I know that there are times, I'm a bit of a worrier, and my children would, my sons would come home from college, and they'd go out at night, and I would worry until they
course.
walked in the door. We all do as mothers. And when the girls came along, I thought, somebody else is worrying about them. To this day, they
That's
don't have to
interesting.
call me when they get home every minute to know that they're alive and okay, because I know that I'll hear from the girls if there's a problem. So I go to
Interesting.
sleep at night.
I didn't pass the worry on to you or to my son-in-law. I still worried, but not as much
Right,
because I couldn't.
right,
They weren't coming into my house.
right, right. Okay, so let's move on here. The boys and your son and daughter got married, moved on. We had a few weddings. Tell us about the weddings.
Oh,
Tell
my
us
God.
about
2
your children's
weddings in 1 year.
How different was it being the mother of the bride and mother of the groom? We get a lot of MOOB mail and a lot of questions about that.
It's different because the bride, the grooms don't really care. It's the brides. So you were the bride, the daughter-in-law. Well, at the time, you were the daughter-in-law.
Okay. We didn't know each other quite that long.
No.
It had been about 4 years, though. But okay.
But my daughter, she turned it over to me mostly. So I played a different role at your wedding to David than to my daughter to her husband. It's different. It is different.
It is
At least it was for me.
Right. And it is for most people, but it is what it is. And, we all
You're
try
a
to make it.
MOOB.
Right. We all try to make it as pleasant and inclusive as we can. And
Right.
it's, I remind people all the time. I mean, we were blessed to have pretty wonderful situations, but that a wedding is a wedding. And
Your mother
It's about
and father were wonderful.
but it's
to
about
me.
the marriage and not the 5
Right,
hours
not
of
the
the
wedding.
wedding
It's the
necessarily. And
marriage,
people
all I
get
want.
very caught up in all of the wedding hoopla. And don't get me wrong, it's important and, it's wonderful memories, but it is also about the marriage. Okay, let's move on. So your children got married and along came the grandchildren.
Yes, finally.
How did that feel? I remember you so excited. I remember when the first one was born, the second one was born. You have 5 of them.
Yes.
So tell us.
The first 2 were girls. So I'm going to it was wonderful.
All right, let's move
And
on to your
To my
grandsons.
boys. Okay. As I said, I was a principal, and the school I was principal of was called the Museum School. And as the principal of a museum school, I was sent to different museums. I was sent, when you were pregnant, to Washington, D.C., to the Corcoran Museum, which was very exciting. And I stayed at my daughter's house because she lived in Arlington. I slept in the basement, and one day, as I was getting ready for my trip to the I think it was a cocktail party at the Corcoran Museum for special guests. My son-in-law came running down the steps and said, "Your third grandchild is about to be born." Well, I made a plane reservation. I came to the hospital, and I don't know if you remember this. You were marching around the halls because
my water broke, and it was 2 weeks early, so they had me go to the hospital, and I was not yet in labor.
And he was just, we didn't know it was he then. So when he
one of us did.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah. So anyway, I always teased my firstborn grandson that when he was 21 and could drive, he would take me to the Corcoran Museum. P.S. First grandson, you never did.
And he's 37 now, so he owes you.
Yeah, he owes me big time. The second one, I remember his being in the nursery, and number one standing on a ledge pointing to his brother, but I don't know whether he really cared. The third one, I was in my office, and I had a faculty meeting, and I knew, Laurie, that you were in the hospital, in labor, about to deliver, and I had a faculty meeting. What do I do? Okay, I went to the faculty meeting, and my teachers loved it because it was the shortest faculty meeting they ever had. Because I had to get back to my desk
for the call,
waiting for the phone call.
And you expected, I think, many in our family expected a great granddaughter. Yes, everybody was convinced for some odd reason.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
I do know exactly why. We actually did not have the ultrasound technology then that we do now. And we invited, my husband and I invited our parents into the ultrasound room when we had the ultrasound with our youngest child.
Do you see why she's my
nice
daughter-in-law?
And it was a special moment. And I remember all four of you looked at the machine intently and were convinced that it was a girl. And the technician didn't say a word. We didn't know what we were seeing, so we didn't say a word. And everybody convinced that it was a girl, especially my dad, who was very sure that it was a girl, and he was very wrong. But I don't know if you do also remember, it happened to have been a very rainy day. And we were in this room, and as they turned the machine on, there was an intense clap of thunder.
Absolutely.
And your father had passed away recently. And my husband and I looked at each other, and we just knew that that was him. And maybe it started out as a girl, but he made sure that that baby would be a boy named after him, and he did get that wish.
And David called me and just said, the baby, I'm going to get teary. The baby is lying here in front of me, and he called, and I'm not going to say it, but he called the baby by my father's name. He is laying before me, and it was a very emotional. I couldn't have cared. Girl, it was.
We both felt that way too, because I knew your father very well as well.
He adored you.
And I adored him, and it was our proud moment to give him that honor and have our son have that honor to be named after him. Yeah. So that's a lovely tradition, I think.
Yes.
I think. Okay, Bubby, we are going to just fire off a couple of quick questions for you before we move on to our next segment here. So let's try to keep it short and sweet. We're going to ask you a couple of things. First one being, do you have any advice as to building strong relationships with your daughter-in-love?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Advice? Is there anything that you would think that
it depends
people should
upon,
know?
First of all, you were easy to make into a daughter-in-love. You were easy. You were just
Well, okay. But is there anything that you feel mothers in love should consider or do or
Honest,
in order to help the
open,
relationship?
honest, open communication.
Okay, that's a good one. Good one. What would you think are some common mistakes that mothers-in-law make?
Interfering, and that has to do with boys or girls, really.
Okay.
It's your life, and you didn't tell me what to do, and I have no right to tell you what to do.
Okay, well, sometimes we do look for some advice, and
That's different. If you ask for it, what do you think, Mom? What do you think, Daddy?
but it's, again, maybe about communication, right?
Absolute, open, honest communication.
What do you think makes a great mother-in-law?
That's a difficult question, Laurie. That's not fair. Just what I said, that I don't tell you what to do unless you ask for my advice. Our taste is frequently very different. Come to my house, come to Laurie's house, very different. And but that's okay.
So respect each other, respect
That's
our
okay.
differences, honor our
Absolutely.
differences,
Absolutely.
and so forth. Okay. Any advice you would give mothers of only boys or mothers of young sons? As a mom, a grandma, a principal?
No, nothing different from what I would give to girls.
Okay, then what about for children in general? Is it patience?
Patience? Absolutely. Allow them to make decisions. Allow them to make choices. If they're not safe, that's one issue. But whether you don't agree or you don't like it, doesn't matter. Allow them independence and decision making. That's the same thing in schools.
Very valid. Looking back, would you do anything differently? That's a loaded question.
Very loaded.
Or what is something that you think you might do differently?
I would have to ask the children. Okay. Where did you think I should have taken a step back? Where do you think I should have been more involved?
Okay, but do you feel that you are satisfied with that?
I'm satisfied because of the people they turned out to be.
And you are so involved in not only our lives, but your grandchildren and great-grandchildren's lives, which is such a blessing.
Oh, is it ever?
Even nowadays, with all the technology we have, and you are able to FaceTime with them because you're not always in the same city, but they light up when they see you. And
5 grandchildren got on FaceTime several years ago to invite me on a family trip to Japan, if you remember. Oh, can you believe it?
That was wonderful. And I highly recommend that to everybody out there. If you can do that, if you can include your mothers in love, if you can include your parents in some of that,
absolutely.
It's very much appreciated. And those memories are memories for a lifetime.
Unbelievable.
Yes?
Unbelievable.
Yes. Even if you did stay up later than we did, partying in the lounges at night.
You know.
I know.
Well, I'm a late
Absolutely.
stayer. I'm a party
and hiking
girl.
up the mountains, and you did it all, which was great. Last question I'm going to ask you. How do you feel your relationship with your son has changed over time?
Oh, my God. I don't know when it started, but he's the love of my life. I'm sorry,
You don't know when that started?
Well, I don't know when it started.
When he was born, maybe?
No.
Different.
Yeah. Different. I mean, different. Oh,
You did something right in developing a really, really nice relationship with your son because he loves you, he respects you, he calls you often. I may nudge him a little bit in that direction,
listen,
but that's okay.
he knows I stay up late, and he's coming home from meetings, and he knows you're asleep.
There you go. There you go.
So I get the phone call, and I love it.
It's nice to get the phone call no matter what, isn't it?
I love it.
It really is.
And you are that kind of a mother.
I hope so.
Oh,
we all do the best we can do,
see
and we talk on this show often about not having to be perfect, but to be intentional and do it with love, right?
Much love.
Absolutely.
Much love.
All right, so we are going to move on here just to our last two segments, and I hope you'll agree to stay with us because I have some mail that we received in our segment called MOOB Mail.
Oh boy, it's that time. Ooh, mail's here. Your voice meets mine. From your heart straight to our trail. Let's open up that mail.
Okay, the MOOB Mail today. I sifted through these, finding something that I thought would be appropriate for our conversation, and I thought this one would be terrific. It is from a young woman named Becky. And Becky writes, this is a little long, but I'm going to read her whole letter. I'm a mom of an 11-year-old boy who seems to always be that kid at school. Almost every week, I'm getting an email or a call, talking in class, being disruptive, not following directions, or generally not behaving the way the teacher expects. He's not a bad kid. In fact, at home, he's funny, loving, and actually really thoughtful. But at school, it's like something switches. I feel like I'm constantly disciplining him, taking things away, having those serious talks, and nothing seems to stick. I'm starting to wonder this is becoming his identity. He is known as the troublemaker, and that scares me. I don't want to crush his spirit because he's energetic, curious, and honestly, he's just very much a boy. But I know that he needs to learn boundaries and respect. How do I handle this without turning into constantly the bad cop? And how do I help him succeed in a system that doesn't always seem built for boys like him?
Okay.
I thought that was appropriate. I thought that was actually a wonderful, thoughtful question. So thank you for that, Becky. And that my mother-in-law here, who is a principal, a mother of a son herself, a grandma, and a great-grandma, would be a great person to address that. So let's hear what you have to say.
First of all, I don't like the generalization that he acts like a boy. He acts like himself. Okay, that's number
Point taken.
one. Number two, disciplining him for these the litany that you presented is not the answer. Talking to him and asking him, do you know what the teacher wrote in this letter, whatever his name is? Try to evoke from him the behaviors that are being described.
Remember, he's 11. Is that age appropriate?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 11, yeah.
Okay.
He's probably in 5th, 6th grade. Yeah. He's old enough to understand what you're saying, and he's
So
old
this really
enough.
boils down to that word again, communication.
And an understanding. For him to understand what he's doing.
Can boys at age 11, in your opinion, control those impulses to be the wise guy, to be
Helping them, yes. Not all the time, but yes, they can understand. And think back to your own boys. Well, I won't make you do that. It's too many years. But
right? I also think there is a time for what I call green time versus screen time, so to speak, or indoor time versus outdoor time.
Yeah.
And maybe if you make sure that they have time to get all of that energy
yeah.
dispelled.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
outside.
Does he have outlets?
Right.
You know, and what's happening in that classroom? It might not be just himself. It could be a real, I don't know. I would have to go into that. If I were the principal of his class,
You would observe.
I would absolutely unscheduled. Just walk in and see what's going on.
Interesting. All right, so what do you recommend for the mom, for Becky here, to talk to the principal, to talk to her son?
No. Talk to the teacher.
Talk to the teacher.
Never go above the teacher. Never.
Talk to the teacher and talk to her son.
When a parent came to me, the first thing I would say is, have you spoken to the teacher? You must have that.
Okay, good advice. Okay, I think Becky appreciates that. Becky, we really appreciate your letter. That was very
excellent
thoughtful,
and very
letter.
honest.
Right, absolutely. And the last segment we have, before we have to unfortunately say goodbye to you for now, at least for the podcast, is called the Confession Corner. So here is the confession for today from the Confession Corner.
Lean in close, have no fear. It's the confession corner, no judgment here.
All right, today's confession came from Samantha. So I'm going to just backtrack here. I've gotten a lot of MOOB mail and not so much in the way of confessions. So I really wanted to just take a second to distinguish between the two, to differentiate. And then we're going to decide whether we're going to keep both segments or maybe just like kind of merge them into one.
Interesting.
But we felt that confession should be something that people felt, a statement or a feeling that people feel that they just want to get off their chest, that they feel they need a safe space to be able to verbalize without any judgment.
Verbalize what?
Well, let's see what Samantha wrote here. Samantha wrote, "Hi, I love the podcast, and here is my confession. I am confessing that I am freaking out about my son's first serious girlfriend. My son said, 'Mom, it's not that serious.' But I'm over here thinking about her values, her family, their future, and whether or not she deserves my son. So yeah, one of us is casual about this, and that one is not me."
That's a very honest, legitimate. You do wonder. Not necessarily worry. Wonder.
So
Why?
Samantha here is not alone.
No,
And
it's
is
not.
that step one of that letting go, of that starting to...
Yeah, well, you're concerned about your own child. It's your flesh and blood.
Is she concerned about her child? Is she a little concerned about herself?
I would hope not herself. I hope she's concerned about her child. And if she is, and I would hope that Samantha is, it's legitimate.
Absolutely.
You want
feelings
the
are always
best.
legitimate. Absolutely. You do want the best for your child.
Absolutely.
You do want to know that you will be a part of your child's life and fit into your
want
child's
to be
life.
included.
You want to be included. And you hope that this girlfriend will become your daughter in love.
Right.
Which I think is a really nice phrase. And I think that, again, there are so many negative connotations
Absolutely.
for that mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship. So maybe our conversation here today, it's real.
Very real.
And
Laurie.
maybe it is indicative that the relationship doesn't have to be that way. It can
Not
be
at all.
something warm and loving. We can appreciate each other, our differences, our similarities. I certainly appreciate that you gave me my loving husband and brought him up to
of
be
course.
a wonderful man and a great father and a
He is.
great grandfather.
Right.
So
Right.
I want to thank you,
Oh.
Dorothy Steinmetz, Bubby, for joining me
Lord.
today. Was it everything you
Oh, my
wanted
God.
it to be?
I was, as I confessed, my confession, I was very nervous. But as the teachers always said, oh, give her a microphone. She doesn't shut up.
Well, you seem
So I
a natural.
apologize if I did.
You did
But
great.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love
Okay,
you.
your job now, and I love you too, and your job now is to go and tell all of your 29-year-old friends what a podcast is, that they should listen to the movement, that those of them that
Absolutely.
have sons should come and see me and listen to us and join in, because you know what? This podcast is for all generations. It's for mothers of all ages. It's for mothers of only
Maybe I'll
boys of all
start
ages.
a podcast.
For people who love mothers of only boys. You can start a podcast. There are several podcasts out there about grandmas and granddaughters and grandsons and grandmas. So you can do anything you put your mind to.
That is true. And you certainly exemplify that.
Thank you.
I am blessed. Thank you.
All right,
so
everybody. Well, thank you for listening, for sitting in on our somewhat personal MOOBversation here. And we appreciate it, and we hope you got a little insight into the mother-in-love, daughter-in-love relationship as we see and we have. And we wish you all good communication and wonderful relationships with your family. And whether or not it's in front of a microphone, whether or not it's on a podcast, we're just, I think both of us encouraging everybody to just sit down and communicate.
Oh my God, this is
Share your
fabulous.
memories, make
Yes.
some memories, and that's what life is all about. And as we end this podcast all the time, I am going to tell everybody to hug your boys, trust your instincts, and remember that we're all boy moms, and those who love them and their bubbies belong is right here.